This is Off the Record, a radio playlist where I help you discover new artists and new music. We're blessed today because I'm sitting here with Sumner with the Takes, who just released their newest EP, Uprooting Roses. Dude, how are you doing today?
I'm doing incredible. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. Appreciate it.
I mean, I'm the one who's honored to gab with you today. I've been following you guys for a bit. I love seeing like all the covers on social media that you guys do, as well as like the super strong like indie folk rock original work you guys do. This whole project as a whole is just like an incredible EP and like such a strong debut.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We've worked really hard on it the last year, and trying to supplement the social media with a lot of fun covers and paying testament to all of our favorite bands. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm really curious, who were your musical influences growing up? And not so much like the artists you were discovering, but who was playing music around you and what do you remember them playing?
So that's a really good question. I think is a big reason for the kind of music we make today is because, and this is me personally, I know it'd be slightly different for our bass player Phoebe, but for my brother and I can kind of speak on his behalf too, because we grew up in the same setting. We kind of grew up listening to a lot of classic rock from my dad. He had this old iPod that had like over 10,000 songs. And so it was a lot of, Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinner's that Southern rock. And they'd also play a lot of like bluegrass, like Alison Krauss and Union Station, some folk like Bob Dylan and Neil Young. But we were always running around the house as kids listening to, Neil Young and screaming our, hearts out to that kind of music. And I'm sure that's what kind of my dad was like when he was in college. My mom, when she was in college, that's what they were listening to. So I think kind of we really learned to love that kind of more folky rock kind of music. And I think we also spent so much time in the outdoors as kids that it kind of influenced us, our lifestyle in more ways than we knew at the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say those influences that you talk about like really come across in your guys' work.
Yeah, I'm really glad that that's the case because certainly those are our heroes, and we're trying to do our own thing, but I hope people can kind of hear the inspiration behind it.
How did the trio of you guys come to be?
So originally at its inception, we were a band called Lovejoy, and we started the band in Jackson Hole, Wyoming over my gap year after finishing high school. And I started the band with our old drummer named Fritz Frericks, and him and I lived together in downtown Jackson Hole, skiing on the weekends and working, and spent our free time in the living room just writing, creating music. And we named ourselves Lovejoy after a popular street in Portland. And then we wrote all these songs, and we were about ready to record, and we even recorded all the songs later that spring in Portland. And then right before we put it out, another band came out called Lovejoy, and they instantly had millions of streams and success.
Oh
so
my gosh.
Changed our name. So we changed our name to Band Called Lovejoy, and as kind of like a joke almost. And then we played our first concert that summer in August, and we needed two other players to help fill out the sound. And so we invited my brother Guido on lead guitar, and then bass player Phoebe Webb, both members of the band now. But and they kind of that was like the first gig we ever did. They kind of joined the band, even if it was like an informal join. They were always a big part of it from the very beginning. Since then, we've they've been added as permanent members. It's been like a couple years since that happened, and we all lived out in California together, wrote music, and unfortunately earlier this year Fritz had to step away. But no bad blood there. So now it's just Phoebe, Guido, and I. And yeah.
So what was it like kind of putting this EP together, because it is the debut project, and what is your guys' creation process like as a whole?
So this EP was kind of created after we were doing a lot of touring last year. And it was around this time, and maybe even a few months ago last year, that we were really getting things ramped up. And it was just a lot of us spending time writing on our own, and then coming into the rehearsal space. We had a shared rehearsal space in Portland, and bringing all of our ideas in and just throwing things off the wall. We wanted to take our music in a more rock and roll direction. Our last record was called Layhold, and it was more of a folkier Americana, sweeter sound. And so we wanted to kind of crunch things up a little bit. So with that intention, we met up almost every day for months and just wrote and played and had a great time. And so over time, we kind of narrowed our songs down, and then would go on tour again and play them live and see how people reacted to certain songs.
Yeah.
So this record especially was a way more collaborative effort than the last few. A lot of times in bands, one person can kind of dominate the writing space, but this last record, Uprooting Roses, was a very collaborative effort, all hands on deck. We were all writing songs, and I think it's a testament to all of our creative, inputs.
That's so cool. Is there like a track or even like a lyric or line that didn't make it in that you come back to often?
That's a great question. Yeah, I listened to a lot, like just recently on long drives, I would go back and listen to all of the song bank that we had before going into the studio of all the songs we had written, and had to choose which songs. And there was a song that I wrote called Pass the Wine Around the Room, which I still really want to record someday. And it's just kind of like a song that you can imagine all your friends in the kitchen, you know, like making dinner and drinking wine and just singing along to songs. And it kind of carried that vibe. I didn't make it into the final record or onto the Uprooting Roses, but I still think about that one all the time. I'm trying to think of a line. One of the lines from the song is, maybe I'll just sing along and pass the wine around the room. I think was one of my favorite lines.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. Kind of the same question, but different lines already on the EP. Is there a line that you guys are like, we cooked with this one?
That's a good question. I have to think about that. Well, it's funny. I'll tell you a little story. So there's a song, Another Kind of Lover, that I really like. And one of the one of the lyrics is, checkered tiles, another rainy day. I only want to dance you through the day. And then the second verse has a similar rhyme scheme. Morning starts with a cigarette. I really hope I make it through the rest before I give it up and start to breathe. And in that first line, checkered tiles, another rainy day, Phoebe, for the longest time, even until after we recorded it, thought the line was, check the tides, another rainy day. And so that's not exactly the answer to your question, but I think it's a funny little antidote.
Yeah.
In live, I'll even sing that. I'll say, check the tides, another rainy day, instead of checkered tiles. So that's a cool line from that song. I mean, there's Desert Sun is one of our other favorites.
Oh yeah.
And I just think that not even the lyrics are that great for that one, but more so just like the soundscape and the vibe around that song. Cool.
It's funny that you bring that up because that's actually one of my favorite parts of the project as a whole, is how cohesive, like sonically, it is as a project. It's really cool. What do you hope audiences take away from the project?
I really hope that our audience that we've been kind of gaining over the years kind of realizes that we might have a deeper bag than sometimes we've showed in our earlier records, and that we are actually like incredible musicians and great players first. You know what I mean? I think that we all, a lot of artists are really good songwriters, and I like to think that we're also great songwriters, but we also love to play our instruments individually. And I think that through the record, you can hear, you know, everyone's talent really showing through their instrument. You know, Never Not Going Alone, like you mentioned, Phoebe has pretty much a bass solo over the whole song, which is like an incredibly impressive part. And then Guido, my brother, has been picking up slide guitar and has played slide on a lot of these songs. Wow. I just think that like it really, I hope the audience gains that like we're just kind of getting started, and that we together are four like really incredible musicians, and that when, you know, we get our heads together, magic can happen. But also that like we have the diversity of sound. You know, Desert Sun's like this kind of like R&B song, and then Another Kind of Lover is like this more epic, you know, soulful song, and then Ain't Love is kind of like this big rock anthem. I think that like we really have a diversity of sound, and we can go down, we can bring it way back up. I think that is a cool thing that we've been able to showcase as a band. So I hope the audience kind of, there's something in there for everyone, you know, in this EP. I think that that's kind of what we hope, you know, people can resonate with one of them.
Well, it's time for my favorite question. I asked you to bring 3 songs from 3 other artists, and feel free to elaborate a little bit on why you chose these.
There's this artist named Mildred, and they are out of Berkeley, California. And
Okay.
a song called Fence Line, or they have a new record coming out called Fence Line, and one of their songs is called Fence Line. And I just have been in love with the music that they're putting out, and I think they're just kind of, I wouldn't say they're just getting started, because they've been at it for a little bit, but I think they're really starting to like make a big impact, and I'm excited to see where they go next. And it's just in the ability, it's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's indie rock, but it's almost like Wilco had a baby with like, at least that's just my impression. I don't know if they're hearing that or not, but it's just like a really incredible songwriting and not too overproduced, and I really love that song. Another artist I really enjoy, Dean Johnson, I think is an artist who I really respect right now. He's kind of showing up kind of later on the scene. Or maybe he's been doing this for a while, I don't know, but he's a folk singer, I think out of Seattle, and he has a song called Old TV that I'm really excited or that is already out, but I just really love. And it's just kind of like in that Gregory Alan Isaac folk world. He's just able to tap so deep into like what I think the heart of folk is. And his voice is just incredibly unique. That's Old TV by Dean Johnson. And then one more artist who I will name drop, who doesn't have any music out yet, but is about to go into the studio to debut, is this artist named Michael Menifee, who is a friend of mine. The deepest, he inspired me more than probably anyone else in terms of songwriting and musicianship, and probably got me into all this in the first place. And he's been, you know, writing songs his whole life, and he's got some of the most beautiful songwriting, but is about to go into the studio to cut his first record. And I might go.
That's so cool.
And once he does, I'm just saying it now before it's ever out there, that it's like gonna go far. So Michael Menifee, that's someone to keep an eye out for.
I can't wait to like resurface this clip when that happens.
Oh yeah, me too. He's gonna be like, I'm gonna call it out right now before it even hits Spotify, and then but he inspired me as a songwriter. He showed me a lot, like he was playing guitar before I was playing guitar, and just made me want to just play. And I still look up to him in many ways. He's got some killer tunes that that'll make you feel something. So that's something to look forward to.
It's a solid list there, man. Solid
Yeah.
list. Well, Sumner, thank you so much again for coming and talking to me. Congrats again on Uprooting Roses. And now it's time for everyone to hear my favorite track on the project, Never
Yes.
Not Going Alone.